Alright, this video I'll be talking about the games and challenges of the game that I'm putting out here on YouTube. Also, I'm going to try to touch on maybe a little bit about the prizes and a little about the players, essentially. To touch, quick note, there are more than, but there's 104 overall basic games throughout a 3-month process of this game. The first to say, I know I've shown it before. The first is this paper here, which I pretty much I've changed it a little bit up, but it's pretty much stayed to basically what it's always supposed to be at. And those are the 12 challenges. That is what must be completed in order to get your ranking in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way down to 12th. That is the actual game. You don't have to play any of the games. You don't need to be social. You could be the most introverted or introvert. Yeah, I guess that's what they say, you know, when the people don't want to be around anybody. So this game, essentially, it's the 12 challenges are: find your camp. Now I've got another paper that, you know, puts these out a little more, and I've modified the way I answer things, but essentially it's find your camp, make yourself fire. That's not getting fire from somebody else. That's you have made it 100% on your own. Build a shelter, and there are little stipulations to go with this. Oh, I got the doggy here wants to lay down. Yeah. I know. Cat stealing your spot and cat trying to get... Sorry about that. It's just I have a cat and a dog that want to share the bed, and the cat just cuddles too tightly with the dog. Okay, anyways, like I say, build a shelter is, and there's no particular order you have to do these in. Anyways, it's build your shelter. Essentially, it's to be able to, you know, that you're going to be okay in there weather-wise. There'll be ways to test that. Design a wheel. Also, it's going to have to, you know, do something like transport your own weight, and you know, it's not, you know, if it breaks or something like that, you won't be getting the essentially the credit for it. But some of these challenges is when you think you've got them done, or you have the ability, you'll come to do them in front of a person that's in charge, more or less, or the host or something. And some of these challenges will be just caught on your camera, and you better, you know, it needs to be caught on your camera, or you could say something and nobody's going to believe you, so you might have to redo it if you screw up or something. There's I got here like boil, you know, so we have you know, it's clean, and you know, let's say filtered fresh, but so you know, you don't see nothing in the water, and you know it's clean, but you know, 50 liters of water. There's two of these I could put together and make another challenge, and that is fish and meat. I have them separate, and I have a certain amount you need to have. Again, you're going to bring the meat essentially fresh. It'll get cured for you. There'll be this much is basically what you bring in, say and we dry it out, and by the time you do your trade for it, you have a pound, you know, and you do that every week. It could take you 10 weeks before you have your quoted of fish or something like that. Now, I also have I put these together, 50 pounds of perishables. That means, you know, wet food. You got to constantly be bringing essentially fresh food, whether, you know, if it's something like lettuce leaves or something, and you're just, you know, bringing a whole bunch. It's just, that's the idea, because the game, there's a little crew of people that'll be there working, you know, to monitor the game and everything, and some of these are essentially a way to make their lives, you know, little extra things. Again, like if you go to the trading post, you could trade for seeds, and we all know lettuce, you know, only takes about 2 weeks to grow. You know, and that's picking a nice little lettuce. Now you could be eating lettuce within, you know, 4 or 5 days. Again, something like let's say radishes. If I was to say radishes, you can eat those little sprouts as soon as they come out, and they're out in 2 days, you know, and you got nourishment. So there's things you can trade and things you can do to get to do these things, you know, that, or you will need to a degree. Now I have forge your own metal tool, that means, you know, you're going to need a lump of metal, and you're going to have to work out yourself. And there's a list of tools that I have, again, that you'd have to be to a degree of. And then if you say you have that tool, let's say you were making an axe, and you make an axe, and I say, okay, you said you have an axe. I know an axe can cut down a tree at this rate and this speed, blah blah blah, whatever, you know, and you're going to have to do that with your axe too. Or at least, you know, take down a tree. You know, you can't say take down a tree, because anybody can take down a tree with a rock and just keep bashing at it until it comes down. That's not an axe. But if you put a real fine, you know, point, and you put it, you know, properly in, you know, you had a good, and you properly mounted it to something, and you could cut down, you know, say a 6-inch tree, and you could actually, you know, or it's already down, but you're cutting a log, and you can cut through it, let's say in 15 minutes with it. Well, that's you know, that's a way to show that you can do the challenge with your tool. Now, if you don't complete it, you don't get the time, and you've just wasted your time. So to make sure when you're saying and come up to do one of these challenges, if they're not one you've captured yourself, that you can capture yourself, I should say. Like here, I got trap a live animal is one of your next ones. Now, you know, I'm not telling somebody to go out there and catch a bear or a moose or something, but to catch a live animal, even if it's a fish or a creature. Now, I have here, like a fish is not what I have listed. Like, you can't go catch yourself a frog and think that's something. I have here mammal, and again, it'll be to a degree of list, because I want people know that trapping is one thing, but trapping and killing an animal is one. Trapping and having to catch is another. You know, so it is a form of, you know, like let's say if you have chicken, you know, I'm not saying, you know, it could be another country this game's being played in, and there's wild chickens. To catch one of those wild chickens and to it shows domestication, essentially. So that's the idea of, you know, it's not like we're going to keep the animal and do something with it. It's just to show that you can catch, you know, whether it be a rabbit, and you were able to catch a rabbit alive, you know what I mean, and you know, bring it to basically show on camera, you've got a rabbit. You could essentially catch more than one rabbit, breed rabbits, now you're farming rabbits. It shows that ingenuity of humans. All these are ideas of the human ingenuity and how they've gotten us to all the places we are in now. You know, we wouldn't have farms if it wasn't for somebody catching a cow, catching a pig, catching chickens. No, there'd be no farms. So it's basically showing, you know, the primitive levels of where things started. And I got as basically my last or somewhat last challenge is you have to find every other person's camp. Now that makes it fun because, you know, I don't want to call it a game of hide and seek or hide and find, but now you're going to have a camp, but camps are movable, number one. Like, the actual camp flag won't move, but your camp will be movable, and you could move around and find people's camp by moving. Now that's something, you know, here in North America with the natives that they have done, you know, thousands of years was moving, and that's how land stayed essentially clean and fresh, and they, you know, cleaned it. You know, you didn't need to cut down a tree when you go to an area and there's a bunch of downed wood. You just need to collect the downed wood, and there you've got, you know, make sure it gets dried out nice. You're beautifying a forest, giving everything what it requires, making it a nice, safer, better forest, as well as get clean, you know, using that debris that you've cleaned as your, you know, fuel for fire. You know, it brings in more animals. Now you have a better chance of hunting or blah blah blah. Now I should say that with these challenges in these games, because it is in here in North America, here in Canada to be precisely, the first time I play this is where I want to play it. I know Americans don't have it, you know, of all the countries, don't have such an issue coming across Canada. I believe they can stay in Canada for 6 months, just, you know, no visa or just under their regular passport. It might even be a little longer than that now, I forget exactly. But anyways, it's not like it's a hard requirement, and there are many American hunters that come up to Canada every year just to hunt. There's many Americans, we're talking in the millions here, that come up, and that come up for fishing and such. So, the idea of this is you're not breaking laws, so you will need an Ontario hunting and fishing license in order to do this, and you must follow the rules. This is another reason I have this during the fall season, especially to play the first one, is because you can actually hunt animals. They're out, you know, that's the season for hunting and everything. So you'll be able to do all these things. And if you could watch a whole group of guys actually go out with spears and homemade, you know, real bows that can actually do something, and they made them themselves, and you go watch them actually together take down a moose, you know, maybe 4 of the guys or 3 of the guys, you know, that's a feat that we would see literally here on YouTube that you don't just, you only watching movies and they're edited things and they're all fake. So the idea is you got to have that. You would also need your first aid and CPR, because you need everybody to know that they can at least manage some first aid and CPR. Even though we give them a walkie-talkie that all they got to do is turn it, that stays basically with them, and if they ever need it, they just turn it on and they radio for help, and help would literally just come and find them. That, there's a big idea there, because accidents can happen when you're camping. Now the difference in it, because of this little game idea that I have, is everybody's camping. The idea is I'm providing a little bit of entertainment in games, that I'm not doing anything too crazy or dangerous, just things that we keep, like a game of hide and seek. As children, we all played hide and seek. Now as an adult, the only time you might play a little bit of hide and seek is when you have other little children around, and it's not really challenging for an adult. Well, could you imagine 12 full-grown adults, over a kilometer square of land playing hide and seek? Now that, actually causes a challenge. I'm not saying you have to tag somebody, but if you got a video camera, and the idea is when you see somebody on your video camera, you're able to say who that person is, and not multiple people. That's John Doe. I caught him on camera, and then you're yelling out, John Doe, I've got you on camera. Now you've got one person, So you imagine a game of hide and seek like this. It's an actual fun game. Now you're doing this while you're basically camping. So it's like summer camp, essentially, with an organized little fun thing. Again, you don't have to play any of the other games, the other 91 games that I have. You never have to do them. The idea of all these games, the idea of the games is that they aid you in getting through the 3 months, whether it's a ration of food you get for completing a small little game, or just completing the game, you know what I mean? So in this idea is, as long as you play a game, because those are the things that I'm going to be able to post out on YouTube and everything, and people want to watch. So you could have one person that doesn't want to play any of the game, or doesn't want to play that particular game. It's an option to everybody, but the idea is, and you could see sportsmanship and who's part of us, willing to be part of a group, who doesn't want to be part of a group. It adds all these things. Maybe they don't want to be part of a group, but they know they're going to be really well in one game, so they'll come and play just that game, and now you're going to watch a really, really good person in the game. It's all these different little ideas that I have of mixing in each other, and almost all the games themselves, they all end up doing this somehow with each other, whether you see it or you don't. They all end up, affecting each other. So you maybe not playing one game could affect you in another, and you'll know, there'll be things to actually tell you, and you'll be able to know this. So, in ways, that I have, so every person that actually plays the game would, I don't want to say get a big rule book like this, but that would get, the basics of what you can and can't do with the games, like telling you don't have to play these games, you don't have to do the challenges, but if you don't do any of the challenges, you're gonna get 12th place. You know what I mean? What was the point of even coming out there? Now this is where before I continue into more games, I'll just jump into the prize. I got this written. I got a lot of papers here with different things. I'm gonna try to move in just enough. Now this is all the different ideas I've had for, like, if I got different denominations of money. Oh, I know some of them is light writing and dark writing, but you can see, like, they're all little columns. Now here, you see $4.88, and then over here you see $2.50. Those are both the ideas that I have for myself, because it's a $10,000 prize, $5,000, $2,500. You can see that I'm pointing at this middle one because there's one here and there's one over here. So if you see, I go up here, and these denominations are by, you see 1,500, and I keep them very whole numbers. Over here, you can see when I get to one point, I keep just dividing in half, exactly in half. Here, I just keep it to a more nice round number. So the idea is I've got less than $20,000 in, I think it's this one here is the more expensive one, and it's still less than $20,000 in total prizes. Now, if I get the advertisers that, they're putting in money into the show, the idea is if I did get $1 million and I could get up to that prize level, which is, I think I've got one right here. Let me just flip this over. Okay, yeah, I've got one here and I've got one here. Those are for the $1 million, and again, they divide up basically the same way. I also have here 25,000. And then I have here, if I had basically 100,000 as my grand prize total, or the highest amount, and this one for 250,000. So if I had, for instance, over $500,000, let's say, in total investors, advertisements, and all that kind of stuff. I have to think there has to be a percentage the investors earlier. There has to be for the investors a profit margin. So, for instance, if I had a total of $250,000 in all over total, well, maybe I would only do the $100,000 as the grand prize, because once you total it all up, that's about $200,000, just under $200,000, which would still leave $50,000 to save for the investors, to get their money back. But maybe we would go less than that. I'm not saying because it needs more. I don't want to say more profit, but that the people aren't making enough. Essentially, if we invest all the money right into prizes, so there has to be that mark number. So this is why I've worked out all the different ideas, is because investors got to be happy too. If I have investors, like I say, I'm planning not to have investors and to do the $10,000 one and do it all under myself. Now, if I have a form of advertisers, I can still be the only investor and take the advertisement and directly add it to the prizes, because I don't care about that profit margin. I'm not interested in that profit margin. I'm interested in bringing the grand prize up number myself. I'm interested in bringing the grand prize up because that will get, not to say better people, but a wider range of people to come and watch the game. Because if I have the ability to give 25,000 right here, if I can give $25,000 as my first place, 15 as my second, 10 as my third, and then what I do is I divide them all by 1,000 off. So it's 9,000, 8,000, 7,000, 6,000. If I had enough money to run that one and I could give, I know I'm still giving $1,000 to last place, and that, in sense, is for just going camping basically for 3 months, and you got $1,000, and you were given your food, any food extra that you couldn't get yourself, or all these extra things. And when you're done all this, you also come out with a huge, like say an audience of people, or people that might have paid you to advertise things yourself. So, there's more ways you make more money than this. Also, like I said, I plan on giving a percent if I have advertisers, not necessarily investors, but if I have people advertising, and let's say I had a total of $10,000 in advertisers, okay, now I don't need to add that 10% to the grand prize. I can take that $10,000, and is what I wanted to do was give 6% to first place, 5.5% to second place, 5% to third place, 4.5%, and all the way down till 12th place gets 0.5%. By doing this, they're guaranteeing an income coming off of the advertisement, basically. I don't want to call it a royalty, because that's not exactly what it is. But it's like they have a little extra that they know is going to come. Now, they are going to guaranteed basically have it as long as they finish. They don't have to do all the challenges, but as long as they finish till the end of the season. And they didn't even do one challenge. Maybe they suck so bad they did 0 challenge, but they still got 12th place. They still get $1,000 plus half a percent of any profits made from the game. So that's one thing I wanted to explain about the prizes, and if there's any more questions about the prizes, let me know, because it's the prizes that I'm essentially want to lure people with, and I'm willing, like I said, if I'm the only person that's taking my money and putting in this game, I figure about $55,000 will give me the $10,000 prize that I can give $5,000 and give it away, and anything extra I can still say 6%. I don't even have to have any money more. I just say, if I get anything, I give you 6%. So it's like even if I don't get nothing, it's not like I'm getting, not to say hurt, but it's not like I'm making out and you didn't get to make out. So the idea is you can also find advertisers that I'll use, knowing that you're going to get a percentage back from them no matter what. Also, you could work out a side deal that on your own, while you're on your own channel, that you'll say their brands and stuff, and work out a little extra side deal for yourself on top of that. So you get a grand prize of a minimum amount, and then you got your 0.5%, plus you get your little chunk that you get for working the advertisement deal yourself if you wanted. Again, you could also get somebody to sponsor you in the game that's willing to, basically as an advertiser. It's just a name, though. It's not a company or anything like that. It's just somebody that says, hey, I want my name mentioned. Here's $100. Say my name every day on the camera for me. All of a sudden you got $100. I don't get any of that money. You're the only person that sees that $100 and gets to mention their name every day. Now, that goes on your channel on your 24-hour feed, not on my channel, but you could still somehow work it in your own time, knowing that I'm going to use a little bit of your time on my channel, and if you're smart enough with your word placement, you could advertise people yourself. Like if in a game when you're flying over something and it's going to be an awesome, flip and everything, that's the part I'm going to be on the camera will be showing of you. You could be saying, craft peanut butter. And you could even make it be a whole audience would laugh, and then a big splash or a big boom 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 or whatever happens, and we know it's going to get aired. You got it onto my channel. You never had to work out the deal with me. But then on the side, you could say, hey, if I gave you $50 of the 100 I just got, would you guarantee put this in your channel 13 so people see it? So it's like all the deals can be wheeled and dealed that are properly. I'm not doing this as like a form of company. Again, it's your own. I'm just providing essentially a platform, a place to let people be able to group more or less as a society for camping, where we can kind of meet and where it's to keep people safe in their camping. I go out and I've done extreme camping, a lot of times in my life. I love camping. I think it's fun. The less you bring, the more fun it tends to be. And I've had some, some close calls and some, no, I don't want to call them dangerous, but it's. I had to know what to do in those situations. One time, just a quick story, I remember I was with my buddy, and the motor broke on it's just two bad things that happened. The motor broke, we're going down the river, and it's a really wide river, moving quick enough that it's really, and we have a 17-foot canoe, and there's like a bar that comes off, and I have a little 2.5 Johnson, I believe it was. Now, the motor literally breaks down, and my buddy comes over into, and he's handing me the tools. We have a little toolbox, and because it's heavy, it sits at the front of the canoe. Anyways, he's bringing it over, and he steps right in the middle of the canoe, and there's a metal bar that goes through, and a metal, like aluminum bar that goes through, and he steps there because it's safer. But there's a plug my father had put, like 2 pieces of plastic he had tried to melt because we had a hole there, and it worked for a long time. He steps there and it just happens to like pop it, and all of a sudden you just see water coming in, and I mean water coming in. We're in a boat that's got all their equipment, we had been out there for a little while. So anyways, we're trying to get to the side, and basically there's almost no time to make it to the side if we're both bailing. So I've got him, he's just bailing, he can't stop bailing, and I'm literally trying to fix the motor of this, because we're about to sink. And essentially, when there's that much water at the bottom of a boat, you start really panicking, and because you're basically gonna be swimming, you're losing everything you got, half of it's the father's stuff, you know what I mean, like the motor and stuff, and you're feeling bad. So I was lucky enough, got over everything open. Took me about 4 or 5 minutes to actually got started again, and literally, he couldn't stop bailing, and we went right to the edge of the river, and then we just kept going because we were scared. And we got back, I think there was about that much water. He was bailing, and I was even bailing. I was driving with one hand. I had my hat off because we had a bailing bucket, but only one, and I had my hat, and I'm using my hat to literally scoop out water, like with the rim of my hat, like. And we're driving, there was about that much water when we get back, and my father was there to meet us with the truck because he had been waiting a good chunk of time too on us because I couldn't get the engine to ever go full speed after fixing it, it was only able to go up at a real slow rate. Ooh, he started laughing once he sees all the why. He figured it out, seeing us pull into the little channel there. But anyways, it's just a little side note that, you know, something can go wrong and it can be real scary, real dangerous. I'm trying to be, not to say the father waiting there, but when you know within a certain amount of time somebody's supposed to contact, there's supposed to be some issues, you have the ability to also go out there. So, you know, with the cameras coming back from these people, you know, on the time rate that I want to have cameras being traded, so battery and I can upload film and everything, it's one way to set that I know somebody's supposed to be back or something we're supposed to see. Now, I thought about having one person that goes around to all the camps and picks up and switches out the cameras, but that could lead to people following trails and following people to find others' camps. So it would be your responsibility, hiding basically, to come out with your camera when you're supposed to, because if you don't, you're not going to have the film to be able to record yourself if you are able to complete a challenge. And like I say, the camera will be rolling 24 hours a day while you have it. You come, you bring me the camera, I push record on the next one, and I'm switching it out, then turning off the other one. So you never are going to be off, you know, you'd have to leave your camera and forget it to basically not be showing the footage. Now, I also want to see if I can get to something for your head, like basically like a head cam, so it's always basically your point of view. Wherever you look, the camera will be seeing, because generally, you look at what you're doing, you know, some of us are a little maybe better, but you're always paying attention to what you're doing, you know, and you look. And if somebody was to get hurt, it was to be put on, you know, I'm not saying big hurt, but I'm saying a little cut, you know, you got yourself a little cut, you're going to be right there looking right at it, and your camera will be pointed right on it, you know, even if, you know, to say if you had a camera on a little tripod a little bit away from you, watching you, you know, and you're trying to set up, you're not worried about where the camera is or anything. It's just your point of view. And like I say, if I was running a few extra cameras to be able to at special times record people that be going up on my footage channel, I can have those tripods. I can also have the point of view of the host like a head cam too. So, you know, many things. Now, of the people, I go into a little quick third part of the people playing this game. This was the money up here. This is the other idea. I have, it's funny, I wrote in colors here because I'm just thinking, let's see, I was just thinking ethnic people and having multiple races play this game. I even thought about having multiple languages to have that language barrier, but nobody would have traveled 500 years ago on a ship capsized and everybody would have spoken only different languages. You know that they would have been pretty much, at least held languages to a degree of together. So I thought about having multiple races play this game because I thought it would be a great way to show society, the way society builds, especially when here in Canada we have so many cultures and so many races that it's an awesome thing to see compared to when you go, to a majority of the countries out there that is, primarily their own nationality. I also thought the players playing this game is like to have 6 one kind and 6 another, but they're all like basically the same, but one's like not a historically used person, but like one's today's more technology suave, and the other one knows better about the use of old things. So it's like a survivalist compared to a jack of all trades. Like somebody that knows things that can do a little of everything and they're really good with everything, and then a person that just knows how really well to survive in the nature. So they're only a jack of trade in one. The other one is a jack and trade of everything. Okay, and then you got like a person that's like has a horticultural degree, and somebody, a little old lady that has a garden, and she has the nicest garden, on YouTube, and it's got all the plants, of North America, and she knows them all. That's what I mean by one side having like a butcher that actually, that's what he works in a big plant, and all he does, run big saws, cutting in, all the different meats up and everything. And then having a person that actually is a hunter. The person that actually goes, gets the animal, and he can also clean, but he doesn't do it with all, the high-tech stuff. He might do it with just a knife and an axe or something. And then, the carpenter / or a lumberjack. And then I got like a steel worker to a blacksmith. And then I have, I thought doctor / nurse, whatever, or. And then like a nature healer, somebody that knows all the little natural remedies of the North American plants and stuff. So that's the kind of people I want playing the game, because essentially they're all people that will keep themselves safe if they work in a society. Now, nobody has to live with nobody has to stay with anybody. They can choose to band up together like that. So this is how you get through your 12 challenges of your games. It's using these skills that I want to try to provide for the game. We don't need to, but it would be nice if we can find these people to provide the game, because I believe that would show, like, if we knew 500 years ago when somebody came on, there's a whole ship of people, most of the crew would have to have some form of skill, whether they'd have a blacksmith on the boat, they would have a hunter on the boat, they'd have a fisherman on the boat. They need to have these skills that they know are going to be required, and especially if something bad were to happen, they almost are lucky because they have the skill set that they need already there. So my idea is it revolves around the skill sets that you need in the challenges alone, but it's like being a jack of all trades yourself for the challenges. You almost have to be, because I'm not saying that a woman can't, or a man can't do something the other sex can't do, but primarily a lot of jobs have only been especially when you go in history, have only been to like 2 men, or 2 women. Like if you need clothes, it's and let's say it's just a woman there that knows how to sew with leather, you know what I mean, and every other man would butcher the job. Well, that woman, because of today's society standards, that woman is actually highly valued, being put back in the society style of really long ago, whereas they would have been worth nothing 500 years ago. You would have just been forced to sew that man's clothes and blah blah blah, and you would have been lucky to get not you wouldn't even get a thank you, but I think people understand what I'm saying, that now a woman, like say a nurse, you have a nurse come in here and you need something and you want to ask for a little bit of a medical attention, you got a sore or something, she can be nice. Or she could also say, hey, okay, well, you want me to look at that? I want a pound of dried raspberries, So she could have a form of bartering system that she uses to help herself maybe get further in challenges, as well as using her skill to get, like I say, though, there's some things like making fire. You can't go take the fire from somebody else and then call it you making fire, because if you thought, in theory, if that person was not there, you could have never had fire, you would have perished, you wouldn't have boiled your water, blah, blah, blah. So there's certain standards that you have to completely do yourself, and then there's other things that, like when you forge your own metal tool, well, you're going to need to trade to get a piece of metal. Now, what you do to trade to get that metal is, it's up to you, but you can't go trade to get the metal forged for you. Because now you didn't make that knife yourself. It's that certain skill level. Sure, there's a blacksmith there, but if you just have to make a blade, a knife that can at least cut through rope and this thick in 30 seconds. It's that kind of idea that there's certain standards you're going to have to do, but then there's also ways you can come around doing these. Now, those are the challenges. Again, the only things you need to complete in the game are the challenges. There's 12 I thought about a special one for 13, or even doubling up one so I could even add another one in there. So for me, the idea of the challenges are, that's all you have to do. Don't be around anybody else. Don't play any of the games, your choice. The games are to help you do the challenges quicker, or not necessarily, like I say, I'm going to have like steel, there'll be clumps of steel that I will have randomly, I'll have to put around the land or everything, and near people's little camp areas. So if they actually were to go around and look, they could find, the rock ore and, try to do the work themselves, get a little, real primitive. Flint, for instance, is a way to make certain tools. Now, I have here metal tool. I thought about just allowing any kind of tool, but it's the metal tool that made us in society of all of these challenges. The metal tool is like that first real, I'd say, big kick to all the tool usage, or of all the things that we were able to construct or build. So I thought, flint's not as important as the metal tool. So, because you can make an axe, you can make, whether you just got to make something with this so it works to a standard of, and there'll be a list. You can make more tools with your metal and things, if you wanted to make like a hoe, and then put a big piece of wood on it and get the blacksmith to make you one, and now you're running a better little garden, and now you can get a little lettuce. You trade back with some lettuce for him making you the tip to your hoe. It's anything you can think of and wheel and deal. So now, as the games go, I know that I've shown before how I have, it's basically these 3 pages are every day of how the schedule runs. But I have, collection games. There's collection games, and there's, okay, I should explain. There's the 12 challenges are one thing. Then I have 26 different varieties of collection games that are by yourself. You're doing them by yourself. You can use help on them, and they either, it works out, you might get like a ration or two, something of food, or it might work out to where you have access to seeing a map to maybe know where an X is. So there's different prizes for these games themselves for doing them, because these are things that I'll be recording, your point of view too, but I'll be recording the games basically. You're going to record your challenges and make sure you get those. Some of them, you're going to come and see me, and we'll both be recording. Not me, but the host. And then there's the games. And when you do the games, you're earning things, essentially. And I got, like I say, 26 are single games. You can choose to do them with somebody else. And then I have 13, which are actual team collection games. The way I have those teams built are in relation to other games. So, like I said earlier, all these games will end up interlocking with each other. So if you don't end up doing one, it could end up harming you, because now you're missing that space, and now it just kind of screws, I'm going to say screws you up, but, it might not make it so easy. So you'll have an idea, like everybody will have their list of the games, and they're basically at the trading post would be like the overall what's happening when it's happening kind of post. So people, even if you don't remember something, you would still be informed of when something is going to happen. Okay. Now I also have 26. It's 13 and 13, but it's make and then use games. So by that, again, these games, again, when you're making something and using it, they're also going to be able to assist you and help you in these games. So like I have I have this kind of stuff. Here's the make and here's the use. But like I have make 12 feet of rope. That's, now there's a game the next day. You can make it and you say you've done it, and okay, great. You got a ration, whatever it is. You get a ration of food for making your rope. But the next day, you actually have to use your rope, and you have to pick up your, climb that rope, So climb 6 feet up in the air from, the top of your head, the rope will touch, and then you got to go up 6 feet from that point. Now that rope better hold your body weight and be able to be tied and everything. So now it becomes an issue of, you made the rope, but did you make it good enough? Because your second, your make game that you go and play, or use game that from making it, sure, you got a ration of food for making it, but now you don't get nothing because you weren't able to use it. It broke on you. Now you wasted all your time from the day before, but that ration of food basically just refueled your waste time of body. So I think all the games are, and it's like the evolution of everything. Like I have, backpacks and baskets. They're things you have to make, and you're gonna have to use them, to do certain things. Now, in the game, because you have to move in this game, all the things that you end up making, you actually are going to be using to either move or move with, So it's like if you have a basket, well, it helps you, if you have some dried goods and some foods and some things that you have gotten, they help you collect. Like in the game itself, as one of the challenges, and you make a wheel, if you're making a wheelbarrow, well, that's really, really, really easy to all of a sudden transport something, whether it's one wheel or two wheels. I have wheel and then in brackets wheels, because you could make more than one, but the idea is you have to have, the wheel is a huge technology, human invention that has just, helped everywhere. Now, imagine building that. Now you can put all your baskets. Like there's a challenge of making a backpack and traveling half your, so if I said, here's half your weight, put this on your back. Now you make sure you have a backpack. And you saw, the day before, this is what I'm going to have to, there's a rock and it's this big, and I have to travel with it on my back. You're not allowed to carry it with your hands. It has to go on a backpack, and you have to carry it with your back. Now, all of a sudden, that challenge to make the backpack, you can make it, but you better make sure you make it well enough, because the next day's challenge, it could be a waste of your time. So, you can come the day before and try out your backpack with the stone, for instance. You could try it and make sure and jump with it, make sure it works, so that you know when you come the next day that it's a guaranteed, that you're gonna, now that's energy, time, and all this kind of stuff that you have to think about. Now, do you think you're good enough, that's built good enough, and when you go, do you not see what, do you not go check what you're gonna have to move? So it's, it's a bunch of things that people don't think about. And like I say, I've got this pretty planned out to the hours, essentially. All right, now I've also got what I call 13 obstacle courses. The obstacle courses will essentially be done with all the things that you, like I have here, the course. So the first one will be run, the second one's climb, then it's then you got to do all, and I'm in my mind, I'm ahead of myself. You have to do all of these things, and you do them every week, and you add to them. So the first week you'll be running, the next week you run and climb. The next week you're going to run, climb, and you're going to be doing this with your baskets. Then because on your climb you're going to have your backpack. Anyways, then you're going to have to, go with 2 baskets. Then you're going to have to do, and the obstacle course will be being built every week a little bigger, essentially by the game people themselves, and it'll be who's finishing first. And again, if you don't even play, you don't even get the place in the game. It makes a big issue. It makes a big thing that you don't even get a ration of food because you didn't even get 12th place. So, just being part of the game, at least you got a ration of food. Let's say, if that was the worst case scenario, was just, the ration of food. Now, first place obviously would get better, maybe more rations of food. There's different games, different things, different ways you get things. So just to explain it. Now, at the end of this, again, what you're doing in the course game is, it's like the moving part of the game, if you will. So you have all your stuff from your camp that you need and is most required stuff in your life, and you're always with it. And it shows, if something bad were to happen here, I have everything. I didn't leave anything back there. It's far away, whatever it would be. The idea is it's like you got the things you always need to do something. Now, there are also treasure hunts. They start with the treasure hunt, basically ends with the treasure hunt. Oh, don't get, she stepped on you. Don't worry about that. Again, the dog's over here, wants to lay down with your kitty. We know, I hear you. He's coming in beside you. There you go. Hey, be quiet. Alright, there you go. Everybody happy? Sorry, it's just, another cat comes in for the love too. Now I got 3 the 3. Okay, so anyways, now I have the treasure hunts I was just about to talk about here. Now, the treasure hunts are I would say, in one way, the most fun part about all the games. And they are dictated overall by the games themselves, too. Because the treasure hunt has, first, it's a way of telling you about, not exactly, but about where you place in the game, first, second, or third, in the challenges. So you don't have to tell anybody what you've done in a challenge. You don't have to tell somebody you made fire. They see you have fire. You could say you took fire from somebody else. You don't even have to tell them you made it. You could hide. You could make a wheelbarrow. Record what you just did. For instance, you could record you made a wheelbarrow. You got the challenge point for it. And then you destroy your wheelbarrow, and you don't give it to anybody, and nobody knows you ever made it, and they can't see how you made it. So it's like there's ways you can do things in this game, and it furthers you. Now the treasure hunt, it plays in part with the games because, or the challenges, because where you're placing is how you're going to play the treasure hunt, and the treasure hunt is at a different time for every person, depending on where you place. Now, the treasure hunt game will start at midnight, like it does on the very first day, but when treasure hunts are played, it starts at midnight, and that's for the person in first place. And then person in second place goes at 1 a.m., person in third place goes at 2 a.m., all the way down to basically the person in 12th place goes at 11 a.m. that morning. So, person at midnight is one thing, and it's hard to be, if you're going to go treasure hunting in the middle of the night, you might just go and find out where the treasures are, and then go back to bed, and then try your luck out when the light comes. Now, there'll be 18 treasures on the treasure hunt hidden, different places every week, but basically there'll be 18 treasures hidden, and the treasures will be basically rations of food. A good ration of food there. And the idea is there's 12 people. Now, if you're in first, you will see the map. You get to come in, like there'll be the trading post. You'll come there. There'll be a little room where you walk into. Nobody else will be allowed in, and you will get to see the map, and there'll be the 18 X's on the map. Now, this is where writing and paper, where do you get something like that? So there's an ingenuity of, do you keep it all in your mind? Do you have something you can take notes, draw this back out of? Now, if I said you had to leave this room within 1 hour, you only get 1 hour in there, and then you have to leave, because at 1 o'clock, second place is coming in. All right, so you can either take the time to sit there and memorize. Maybe you just want to warm up. The weather's crappy, whatever. The idea is you get 1 hour in there, and then you got to be gone again. Now, you don't have to go do the treasure hunt. You could tell somebody, share the information, try to go find all the things yourselves. You go find this half, you go find this half. That guy could say, oh, I never found any and I didn't share with you. He could look at your map, find most of the treasures, not tell you. So there's, what do you do with your information about this treasure hunt? As well as, first place is going at midnight. Now, you have to show up when you think where you place, which is going to say a lot about who you are and a lot about where you think other people are, or how good they are. So if you think you're the best person and you show up at midnight and you find, you have to wait around till 3 a.m. because you're actually in fourth place, you're going to be so upset and looking at that person. Oh, how can he be ahead of me? Now you just know they're ahead of you, and if they weren't there, you don't even know that they're there. There might be somebody that says, I'm doing so good, I don't need to go see the treasure hunt map right now. I'll just wait until 11 a.m. when everybody can go look at the map until 12. So, that's essentially the way I got it. Now, when you go to look, you don't know which X's have been found. So you could go treasure hunting for 18 treasures and maybe not even find one because they've all been found already, and go to and even find where they exactly are. Now, again, you can go look for something and not necessarily even find it, and it could still be there, and you're just, it's so well, not say hid, it wouldn't be that well, but you're just not able. Now, I thought about making, not say riddles, but little, on the map, there's actually a little bit of writing on that X to be descriptive of that X area, what you're looking for. So again, that's where it's going to come into, do you remember, or do you have the ability to write? Writing is a huge ability in this game that I've left it out of the challenges. I thought about making writing part of a challenge somehow. I have trouble thinking how to actually use it, because I believe if people are skilled enough to understand where to bring it, that it's like a benefit to the challenge, essentially, in challenges. If we don't make it a challenge and make somebody have to do it, will they do it? Is it a requirement for them? So, the treasure hunt, it really works out to be a big fun thing and all, because nobody really knows where somebody sits, but you might think you know where somebody sits. Now, do you go look for your treasure, or do you stay there and wait to see who's in second place, who's in third place? Because when I come out and it's or the host comes out and he says, it's 2 a.m. and I'm looking for Jane Doe. Okay, now I'm not saying Jane Doe's in second place, but if I say, is Jane Doe here, and then there's no answer, I just walk back in. Come back out 15 minutes later, say, is there a Jane Doe here? You only get 3 times it's going to be said, 4 times it'll be said. So you get set at 2 a.m. and then you get at 2:20, and then you get it at 2:40. So you got the 3 times, and then if you're not there, somebody could have heard your name that's waiting, could have heard your name called out, and you show up because you think you're at 4 o'clock, and so you start waiting. You think you're at 4 or 5. You didn't realize you were that early, but you're showing up an hour early from what you think you are. Well, the guy could be sitting there and he still hasn't been called, and he knows you've been called. He doesn't tell you that you were just called. So now you're not even going to get to know that you're in third place. You don't even get to know it. And you're going to sit there and wait and wait and wait, and then it'll be a week later before you can come back and find out again where you're roughly sitting in this game. And then you might try to go for 2 a.m. and you're like, oh, or 1 a.m. You're like, okay, I guess I'm in first, second, or third. I better show up earlier. So you show up at 1 a.m. But the next week, with all the different challenges being met by other people, now you're actually in 6th place. So now you show up at 1 a.m. and you're waiting and you're waiting. So, like I say, if you can think in your mind with your imagination all the different scenarios that will and can occur, and like I say, this is just what I can think of that can happen, and how people can not say things, not use the word lying like you're harming somebody with your lie, but lying so that essentially you don't get harmed. You're basically leaving out, maybe omitting information, not telling that person that, hey, your name was called 3 times and you missed it. You don't tell that, but now somebody does tell you, and maybe you're a nice person, you say, hey man, you were called. Now somebody could lie to you and say, hey, you just missed your name. They just called you the hour before you were here and you missed it, and their name has never been called. So now do they sit around and wait? So like I say, if you just, and I could keep coming up, I could keep going probably with another 10 different scenarios that could occur just from sitting there and waiting around. And this is just from the treasure hunt, of trying to not necessarily find out where you are, but trying to get bonus food for your week, basically. Because, if you can have one extra, meal, and something bad happens another part during the week, or you can have 2 extra meals, and, it's like saving yourself rations, I guess, of food to guarantee your security in the game. I have one other form of, not game, but something where it's basically, if you do this, you'll always be able to get a form of ration of food, but it's only for basically, I don't want to use the word the dumb, but the people that'll have the be less ability, the least most ability people will always still be able to, if they do, get like a ration of food. Like, they might not be able to find, like I say, you could come in last place, be there for 3 months, not complete one challenge, not come first in one game, and you will still walk away with 12th place prize, 0.5% in the profits of the game, and a name, maybe not that good of a name because you're in 12th place and you didn't do that good, but maybe you were the funniest person on there. Maybe you were that's why you were so kind to everybody. You could promote yourself in this game by a complete different aspect than you could ever come across. Now, I'm surprised, like in the game of Survivor, when you see these real jerks. I don't want to say jerks. I guess that wouldn't be the good word. What's the word they use? Okay, there's they did a season with it. Villains, and okay, they're villains. I guess I forget what the other one. Anyways, they're villains. They're the bad guys. Okay, you got that fair play guy who was in there and talked about his dead grandmother. That imagine he got known. I think it was. Some big wrestling organization, anyways, basically got him, and he went and wrestled because, that villain, that bad guy attitude is in demand in entertainment. So he was able to get a job even being a bad person. Now imagine if you look on there how many people that are, I don't want to use good, again, I don't want to say go to that high extreme of saying they're like the best or the good people, but people that have basically, kind-hearted, tried to be okay, maybe did a little lying, a little manipulating, but still got real fire in their lives just because they got their face out on the camera. This is going to do that for everybody, and, you're not forced to be affected by somebody else's. You can have your own viewpoints, not unlike being on a tribe, and if you have a viewpoint and you're getting voted out. There's none of that. If you don't like what the other person is doing, it doesn't affect your gameplay unless it truly does, and your emotions are so overtaken that, it ends up affecting you. But if it's that bad, it might be play for that person to be removed from the game too, because nothing is supposed to be, like I say, laws have to be followed in this game. Canadian law has to be followed in this game. There won't be no law breaking, no things people can do that aren't appropriate. Now, like I say, if I have to sit there and edit people from swearing to be able to put on my 13th channel, because everything I put on the 13th channel I want basically PG is what I would call it. I don't want it rated everyone. It would be more, parental guidance, I think, is a good way to view things, period. Before a child sees it, a parent should always watch it. But, to have the other channels, the other 12 channels for those people, to have those, age restricted to 18, because I don't want to worry about people swearing. But when you're watching it on the overall channel, those people with, that say bad things or are not acting real nice won't be essentially shown or aired, and won't have an effect on your overall game that the people watch. People are liking your game, they're going to go click on your channel, and because I'm just showing a highlight of your game, they want to watch the whole game. They can go onto my channel and click and watch the whole game, not like the show is just being aired, but just go watch the game itself. No cuts. Survivor, you watch, and it's 3 minutes to 5 minutes of the game, and some of these games might have taken 2-3 hours, and all you get to watch is a few minutes, and you don't get to watch all the things that actually happen. Well, imagine you get to watch, like a 10-15 minutes of the best highlights, but then you can also go click and watch the entire game get played from the point of view basically of the host or the overall cameras. And then you can also click on the other person's channel that you really like he's the one that won the game, or he did something really cool in the game, and you can click and basically watch his point of view of the game being played. So, and you can go watch everybody else's point of views watching. So this is not like, basically like Survivor, when you think of how you don't get to see nothing, how everything, you can have the choice to see everything. If somebody really gets hurt in this game, we may need to edit it out if it was, not to say disgusting, but somebody got a real, I don't like to say certain things, but somebody got a bad nosebleed during a game or something, we may not air it on the basic channel, because you don't want, not to say offend people, but it's a little disgusting or something. You don't want to have anybody, with big blood. But to have the, on their channel, that as a little highlight, their nosebleed, but then they can also go and look at the entire time what maybe started, maybe they got a head in the nose from somebody accidentally, and that's what caused the nosebleed. And so it's, you can go back and you can view what you want to view. It's not like it'll be basically edited unless I have to remove something that is absolutely deplorable, despicable on here, some form of disgusting racistness or something like that, like I say, it'd be grounds to not just edit it out of a video, but maybe grounds to remove a person from the game. So, this game is a society building game. It's, to show the right things to do, how interacting with people properly, if you're going to, will benefit, and perhaps somebody that doesn't interact well with people maybe shouldn't, and when they do, it might end up being a lot better than if they're forced to be interacting with people all the time, and then you wonder why they don't do so well, and maybe they don't need to interact with people at all, and they do their best, which overall helps everybody in the overall season of the game, because again, one season is playing against another season, because I'm going to go see, and overall the years too, because I want to do fall is my first one, basically after the game's done 6 months later, but from the first day of the game played, it's 9 months later, and then do summer, and then do spring, and then on the 4th season do the winter time one, but then do the winter time one with the 4 best players maybe of each season, or the 4 best that are willing to play, I guess, but I thought, and then if we could have that one, especially as the big grand prize, would be the best thing. But I just thought, it's a way that we would know already of a group of form of advertisers and people that are playing the game to basically come back and get make the game itself, because they are the best of the best, bring them back in to make it even better. So then we start the 5th season and we go back to fall again. And perhaps it goes to a different country, but again, back in our own country or something, and then you get that fall play again. Now I thought if we couldn't do the winter one in reality, people are too hard for people, you could always go to British Columbia to go play the winter one, because on the other side of the mountain they got no snow over there like it is here on this side. So anyways, there's ways to still modify, far into the future, but when you look at Survivor, they got 2 seasons every year, every 6 months basically, and you look at Big Brother and they got 1 season every year. So I'm like, well, let's put it in the 9 month, and And then when you look at the amount of time that the game's actually played for, it's longer than all of them. And if you look at the amount of time footage-wise, even Big Brother, with their in cameras and live, it isn't anywhere close. How many people watch live feed of Big Brother and the feeds turn off? Always at the best times. Always when you want to see it. So I'm like, now those are live feeds. Now, for me, there would be a live feed, but it wouldn't, one live feed, but it wouldn't be the same live feed. It would be only on at times, again, more like, when the games are being played. But you'll be able to watch that live feed, non-edited game. That Big Brother doesn't have. There are no live games other than on the live night on the television show, and then, it's not too much live time they actually show. Imagine only watching live time and everything as it happens. None of that, 8-second delay or anything like that. It plays a big part, that's true society. That's why I like the internet, because the TV wouldn't be able to cut it, basically. Now, I think I would have to put the live events would maybe have to be on another channel with an age restriction, because it's a live event and we can't, have just anybody watching it. Like I say, if a parent is okay to a big degree, there's parents that let their kids watch mass murder show, like shows like Halloween or, these big scary shows, and their kids are 8, 9, 10 years old, and it's okay to show a kid these things. So if a parent's going to allow their kids that kind of okayness, especially with the internet and stuff, I would still make it 18 and older, and the parents is going to have to go, okay, it's my account. You, as a child, you're allowed to watch this. Because if somebody, swears on it, I don't want to have somebody writing back, hey, my kid's watching this, and you just let a swear word. Well, you approved it because, it's an age-restricted show. Now, if I go put it on like what I call the Channel 13, what I've just been referring to as Channel 13, it would be non-age restricted, just PG. Basically, I would say it's PG. And, there'd be, I don't want to call myself the FCC or FCA, whatever those people are, but it would be, I would have my list of what won't be said, what will be bleeped out. I don't want certain things necessarily aired, like I say, talking about, bad things or anything like that. Not necessarily so bad there are grounds to get you removed on, but stuff we might not actually want, sensitivity towards children with. Like if somebody does kill an animal, I don't want to put, I don't want to put the animal, getting shot and you see all the blood going or anything like that. Like if you ever watched the Saturday morning hunting show, that's about how much, on TV, that's about as far as the realness I would show towards it. You see a duck hunting in there, boom, boom, boom in the air, and you see the duck go down. That's all you see. Now, I don't want to. If they're cleaning an animal, I'm not going to go air them cleaning an animal on there or something like that. But it would be on their own channel. It's not necessarily anything gross that I have. I can clean an animal. I have no problem with it. I would do it in front of my own child, regardless of age. To me, there's nothing wrong with that. And showing and cutting a chicken's head off or something. And when you're showing it done humanely, properly, and doing these things, it's okay. But not all parents want to see that. Again, so why I would say I have to watch. I know what I'm gonna air and not air, and it would be a lot more strict. It would be a lot more strict than the FCC to be actually on what will be aired on my channel. But it's not that I can't air it. It's sometimes I may have to just bleep it or remove it. It's like the borderline word of crap. A lot of people get offended by that word. Some would never say it because they find it too vulgar. And the majority of people have no problem with the word. Now, that's like my limit of the baddest word I think I would allow basically on. I don't want certain words just to be used, or words, even if somebody's saying something to harm somebody it'll be aired on their channel fully non-edited, but on my channel it would be maybe edited to a degree when they're talking, smack, when you see, teams or people playing against each other in games, it sometimes gets a little out of hand the way they talk. So, I hope I've done a good idea of explaining the games. And again, like the games themselves is where I'm going to be putting a lot of the advertisement of products in that I can get. And all my games, like I made sure to try to think, what if I got this? What if, and not just what if I got food? Not necessarily what if I got peanut butter. What would I do if I got food? Make sure I can use challenges that could use almost any liquid or any dried good, that kind of idea. What would I do if I got the advertisement to put a vehicle? Sometimes you're just going to get a logo, maybe, like if you've ever watched a hockey game on TV and you see all the way around the ice rink, they have all those, all the advertisements, you'll see Tim Hortons and you'll see McDonald's or whatever all the way around the bottom of the ice rink. Well, when I'm building, these games aren't so elaborate built games, but when I'm building an area to have a game held, it's not like I can't take a piece of plywood, a couple posts in the ground, and put a huge advertisement right on that, big golden arches. You don't have to write anything else. There, McDonald's all of a sudden is being highlighted in the game, and then maybe the winning thing at the end is they get a Big Mac combo, as the first place grand prize winner gets. So now you got McDonald's advertising. Big, huge thing. There's a little table right in front of the golden arcs, and first place gets to go in front of everybody and eat a nice big, a Big Mac, and their large fry and a drink, and that's the reward prize for it. Now, it only cost them less than $5 for McDonald's to actually put the food out there. It would cost them maybe a little bit to give me the form, I can put, like the what do you would call it, the poster or whatever I can put up on the plywood to advertise for them. So it would cost them, and then we say, hey, throw us, $100, and and the cost of the material to put this up. Send a person that will come. I'll tell them dig a hole here, put the post here. You get your advertisement up, set the table up here, and we'll bring the winner. Will come and eat. And you get to add, you get to be the McDonald's, basically a person that's going to get there. And now McDonald's advertised for so little compared to what it would be anywhere else. Now, it might get to the point where the games and all the advertisers are maxed out. And I won't take a guarantee on anything until essentially the whole season's filled out. And then you might get one person, because McDonald's might say, every week I want to have my product out there. And then we'll say, oh, okay, well, $1,500 and we'll do it every single week with your thing. But now, let's say something like KFC might come by and say, hey, we want to be on there every week too. And then McDonald's says, hey, no, we don't want to share the spotlight with KFC. Then we have to go, okay, now what are we going to do? Do we give just this season to McDonald's and you give us some more and we'll give you the season? Because if we say no to these guys, that harms us. Now, we'll say, hey, KFC, we're not taking you this year. We're going to take you for next year. The contract's just going to be going, for all these, because they're paying us extra not to use you. But next year, we're going to use you at the same rate we're using them this year. Whatever increase if we had to, to the form of advertising. But essentially, you have to work with all the advertisers to make everybody happy in the games, because I want to get that in there, like Tim Hortons, I think would be an awesome, especially, an awesome advertiser in this game, because when you think, a lot of people think Tim Hortons, you think not camping, but you're on your way to camping or something, or you're on your way to a sports game or something. So I almost think that Tim Hortons would be an awesome sponsor for this game, to be in there and to be winning donuts. A lot of calories in a donut. So if you're going to give calories to someone, winning a donut as a prize can 70-cent purchase of a donut, and we're using that as a prize, and it's their name that's going out there. It's and a coffee. So you get a Tim Hortons cup, and it's now you see on the camera the guy won first place, and he's drinking with his Tim Hortons cup. It's like it's your advertising. You don't even have to put a logo up in the background. You should get a cup in hand. It's like you could do this with Pepsi. You can do, I would love companies that would show that togetherness that companies don't show, like McDonald's and KFC. What if they could say, hey, okay, you get 1 week, I get the other week. You get 1 week, I get the other week. And we don't sit there and try to, outbid each other and make sure somebody else doesn't get the advertising. Let's both advertise and show that we're willing to unify each other and be kind companies, because we want to best serve the people out there, which is what my game's all about, is to make the society better. So could you imagine getting multiple countries, let's say beer, for instance, you got beer, like we could use beer, and not like I'm going to have people drunk in this or anything like that, again, to show people the properness maybe to beer, but if you were going to get a serving of beer, you know what I mean, as the grand prize, and you got Labatt's and you got Molson that say, hey, we both want to advertise, and I say, hey, you guys both want to advertise, I want you guys to work together, and like, let's maybe make a beer challenge as part of one of the games, and now get people to guess, and if they can, give them 3 beers from each company of their best well-known beers, and have a little, not alcohol, but everybody gets a little shot of beer, so nobody will get drunk. There will be none of that. But now all of a sudden you got a little game, and it's funny. It's like the Pepsi challenge, if you will, with the Coke. You could even do that on this game, and it can actually be in the game, worked in as a form of prize. Now, imagine if you have like 10 beers and you got to name them from this company, and 10 beers you got to name them, and all you do is get a little, just a half-ounce little sip basically of it, and you get to try them all. You'll feel nice, especially if your reduced calorie restriction has been on your body. You'll be feeling good. But the thing is now you might be able to, win a bottle of beer that hasn't been opened. Now you've got a bottle also later on in the game that could assist you with maybe something, so it's has to be thought about what else can happen from products that we get advertised in this game, because glass is one of those huge again, technologies of the world, and you bring in a bottle of beer, and that glass all of a sudden is valuable. That bottle is very, very valuable. Now again, there's like a cork, you know what I mean, it could be a big thing, to that little twist top would be big different. So I want your input on the games. Tell me game ideas you have. Tell me maybe places I could ask for, that would be a good idea for me to send a letter to and say, hey, let's use your product in this game and play the game out this way. Now I have like I say, I have all different kinds of games in here to play. I only listed a few off at the beginning of the season, how they start off, but I could go right, I don't know if I could just, so those are just what you're going to do with the courses. So as you go along in the course, over here, as you go along in the course every week, each course will take longer and longer and longer, but you're also taking more and more, and those more and more things are games that you built and had things. So, and now you're taking the game, things that you built, and you're using them in another game. And then using them in that game, you have to carry them and use them out throughout the game. So, I hope that my little ideas here is for the games and everything is well explained for everybody. Again, I want to hear stuff from people. It's things like I understand I don't have a camera crew. I'd love a camera crew. You know what I mean? But suddenly you have to have 2 people for every one person always there, basically, or one person on one person always there. That's and then you need somebody every 8 hours. That's 3 people just to work a camera for one person to watch them, because you got to keep swapping them out. You can't leave anybody out there or anything. Maybe they just go out in a 4-hour period and they go out every 3rd attempt for themselves. But now all of a sudden, if you got 3 people on one guy times 12 people, that's 36 people just working camera crews. That gets really expensive. And again, now, if I had the money and the advertisers and all this kind of stuff that I could do that with, yeah, it'd be real nice. But I have to think about me doing it, and that's why I want to find the players that have the abilities to, that's why I like the YouTube, is because these are people that already record themselves. They more or less have a knowledge of how something needs to work while they're being recorded. Some of these guys are real good, a guy named Bushman, he seems to, he's not like a perfect camera guy or a news anchor kind of, but he knows, to walk away and where to stand in front. Like me, I don't want my face or anything in here, but I try to put myself all what you need to see and hear, and not, I don't need to be 20 feet away from the camera. I don't need to be, the camera right up against my body, So it's, the idea of how somebody works the camera is a big thing in the game, is how somebody comes across on the camera, which could change the way or not change, but give me the idea of who to choose to play the game, because if you got some person that's really really good on a camera, they're a benefit to this game, especially if they're funny and things and can break out jokes. So again, give me your comments and everything. Feedback is very 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 crucial for this game, and like I say, if I get feedback, I'm the kind of person, I'll write down your name, who I got the feedback from. I like to write again. Like this is pretty much just for the game, and then I got this is what the game started. This is what the game started in. So, and then I have all my little little random papers that are everywhere all the time, that I'm always writing out little notes, because if I get an idea, I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm laying in bed or something, if I just dreamt of a scenario in the game, I'm writing it out. Like, that's because I'm really in the sense of being involved in what ifs, what would, what could happen in this game. This is why following the laws is a real advantageous thing in this game, because it should remove the dangers of the common mistakes people make, especially when they're out in poachers or something like that. The minute you remove those kind of stupid things, well, now we don't have to worry about other things happening necessarily, because there's not gonna be no poaching in this game. Now you follow the rules, you follow the laws. The basic 2 rules I have in the game is there'll be no stealing and there'll be no cheating. Now those are the 2 things. Now cheating will follow under certain guidelines. Like, you can't go destroy somebody's you see somebody's building rope over here and you go literally do something to their rope so it's purposely going to break. You can't go do something like that. It would be cheating, grounds for you to leave the game. But stealing, you can't go take somebody's somebody's made a bunch of strippings and they've made a nice pile in the bush, and they got a little pile over there and they're making strippings so that they'll be able to make rope, and you come across, you can see the person's done the stripping. You can't go take what they've done as work just because they're not around and go, and then go make your own string with rope with it. That ain't gonna jive like that. You have to be the honest person in here, because again, it's a game played on the games will be played on my land, but the camping will be done on government land. That's why laws have to be completely followed. It's camping. There's no law against camping. So you're just going camping. I'm gonna give you a little area to play and have enjoyment while you're there, be able to earn a little bit of food, and while you give enjoyment to the people in playing these games and such, I give you a return of the food, and at the end, if you last to the end, then you even get a return in a prize and a percentage of anything that's going to be there. So I if there's anything that you think in a way I can make more fair in the game, let me know, because I'm building the game to be fair. I believe that's how it should be. You should the best person should win this game. The second best should get second place, and they should be valued at what they're valued, essentially. In difference. Now, I'm not saying that they, because some people, everybody can work the same amount of hours. It doesn't mean the same amount of quality or skill comes out of that. And I think it's very important to pay people for the same amount of time, but also basically it's like giving somebody hey, good, you did better than ever expected. So again, give me your points of view, give me your feedback, give me your what you think I've done wrong, and I'll try to do my best to not make the game exactly for one person's liking, but from what I hear, the majority of people tell me, because I'm putting out this video here because I got people asking me what games I'm going to be playing, and explain the games a little bit, and I can't go extremely into detail because that could give away some of my games, or tell people how to play a game, because again, me telling them, that's different if they watch a season and they say, oh, I saw that guy do it, I'm going to try to do that too. I don't want to tell somebody how to do something and make somebody believe the way I'm telling you to play the game is that way. The game will be played the way the game is played and the way you want to play it, in the order, for instance, of challenges. It's not like the challenge order here that I have, you have to do this. You might not even do some of these, The idea is every human, a human playing this game should be at least able to do some of these challenges, we would hope. Maybe you'll never be able to forge your own metal tool. Maybe you won't be able to do that, you know what I mean? Maybe you'll never be able to trap a live animal. I'm not saying what you can and can't do. Maybe you won't be able to make fire. The idea is if you're coming out there, it's because you're saying you can at least do one or more than one if I get to choose from those people. Like I said, I wanted to see videos out there of people. I went and saw videos of people already doing them, but I want people to send me videos of them doing one of these exact challenges, just for the show, to say, here, this is basically my application. I just made fire. I didn't cut to take or anything. I stayed in front. It took me 45 minutes. It took me 2 hours, but I never took the camera off, and I stayed right in, and I did it. You know what I mean? Well, that's one thing. Show me, how you collected water from a river, and you made the fire yourself. You collected the water yourself. You made your own pot, and you boiled the water. Well, that person is probably the guy I'll choose over the other one, if it comes down to having to choose, because now I see this guy is far more skilled than the other guy, which will be an overall benefit to the game, the society of people in the game. So, I want people to be good, but I don't necessarily have to take the best. I will even take some people that aren't that skilled, that just want to try to play the game, because I don't mind giving somebody 0.5% and $5 for getting last place, if you will. You know what I mean? So it's like the idea is it's there to just challenge yourself. That's why they're called challenges. These are challenges. They're not games. You don't call the games challenges. Those are just fun things. You don't have to do them. You don't have to do the challenges either. You just have to stay there for 3 months, basically survive Canada for 3 months, and if you can do that, you got no matter what 12th place. The minute you can do a challenge, you're starting to bring up if you're in last place. If there's 3 people that didn't at all finish didn't do any challenges, and you just did one, well, you're ensured that you're in, 9th place? So it's, that not a lot of money increase, but it does bring up the percentage increase that you get back in the profit of the game if the game does good for that season, which, like I say, if I got those people playing, those people will again have an opportunity. I thought about if I could find the 12 people that would play every season the game for 4 seasons in a row, the same 12 people. But I don't think I'd be able to find 12 people willing to play all 4 seasons, with pretty much a 6-month separation, because, these will all have to be people that have a lot of spare time, I guess, to sit on their hands to be waiting around for that, or, have their own company and have that leniency to some degree. But if I could find them, they'd be the best to use to do 4 seasons under one group of people to see how well they do, and basically keep all their stuff in the area they're staying in, and when it comes back, 6 months later, they restart in the exact same, like the same land that I would own. They play exact same place again. They're more familiar, it's more easy, and then let's see how fast the same people can do everything in a different season, and then, like, literally 4 seasons away. So now you could actually find out the best of the best. And then when you play an entire 4 seasons again, would be even more ridiculous on the people that, because they would have learned from the first people. And now imagine the second season from the first one they would have all learned from watching the first season they played. They'd be like, oh, he did this so well, he did that. I can do that now. Oh, I'll be able to barter with him because now I actually knew he was good at this, but he never told me. So, your mind will race, your imagination will race if you give it time in this game and how to think about it. So, write to me. I know I took a long time on this video, but got a lot of questions were asked about the games again, and I'm trying to be thorough and not really hide more than what kind of needs to be hidden in the games. So you don't give away the answers to the question, in a game, on Jeopardy. You know what I mean? You can tell people what the question is, and you can tell people where to go find out the answers, but you don't give people the answer, or I should say the question, because they do that opposite in Jeopardy. It's either they actually give you the answer and you're supposed to come up with the question, which is stupid. Anyways, okay, so I'm done now, and I'm hoping for feedback. All right, bye.